everybody, I'm Rachel, this is John, and we are your hosts of The Fourth Show.
The Fourth Show is a weekly YouTube show to help you be more for the people in your life, because we believe that Jesus is for you no matter where you are in your life.
Yeah.
So last week we saw Jesus flip the script on everything, and he focused more so on the relationship than the rules in that time. So Harney challenged us to find places and ways in our life that we could focus on that. So
Yeah.
How about you? Did you find anything?
Yeah, sometimes I don't, but this time I did.
Well, good. Please share.
It was really because me and Daniel have been doing devotions together in the mornings, and it was kind of eye-opening, just like in the realm of marriage, of how like you go into marriage thinking it should like be a certain way, or like each person has their own role or like duties, like as the wife and as the husband. Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So whether it was something our parents taught us, or we saw our parents do, or TV maybe gave us a misconception of what that should look like. So that was really eye-opening, because as soon as I had Roman, I became a stay-at-home mom, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to be like the perfect like housewife, mom. I'm home all day, I should have everything clean. When Daniel comes home, he shouldn't have to do anything because he was at work all day. So it was a lot of pressure on myself, and Daniel obviously was like, what? What are you talking about? You didn't do housework, who cares?
Yeah.
So it was something I did to myself. But it kind of took us diving into doing devotions together, loving and respecting each other enough to like set all of those things aside and kind of take our relationship to a more deeper level. And in that, it's just grown our marriage, and it made our marriage and our relationship more important than the rules of marriage, I guess is what you would call it.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Love and stuff.
Well, cool. So the relationship over the rules was week 2 of You're Not That Far. We're about to kick off week 3 of You're Not Far. And You're Not Far is a series on what Jesus really had in mind and who and what he was really for. So we're going to throw it to Harney and see what he's got for us for week 3.
Yep, so make sure you stay here, because when we come back, we're doing some recaps, reminders, and a reward. See ya.
See you.
See ya, bye. What's that on?
Oh.
Where he says, see ya, bye.
What is that on?
I don't know. I probably just made it up.
I grew up going to church, and I don't mean that casually. I mean, we were Sunday morning, Sunday night, and back again on Wednesday nights people. And it was encouraged and even applauded to be the every time the doors are open people. Maybe you've heard that. In fact, it was a tradition that was encouraged really by everyone. And if you accomplished that with your family or as an individual, that was proof that you were doing good as a Christian. But if you ever missed, there must be something wrong, like with you. You were probably out sinning, if you weren't there. Now, it maybe was not as extreme as what I just made it, but if you grew up in that religious tradition, you know what I'm talking about. Church attendance was one of those things that was proof that everything was okay between you and God. In fact, it was one of the many loopholes you could use when things weren't going quite as good as you were trying to make them look like they were. If you showed up, dressed nice, sang the songs, and didn't fall asleep when the pastor spoke, you were borderline devout, no matter what was really going on in your life. There were other loopholes, like judging someone for something that you were doing to make sure that no one was looking at you. Don't be honest, don't be transparent. Put on a good face, point it out in someone else's life, and you're good. Or maybe, wronging someone in your life, whether, by lying to them, gossiping about them, being cruel to them, maybe cheating them out of something, or just being misleading, whether to them or about them. You could close the gap of the way that you treated someone poorly by just praying and confessing it to God. It was a very convenient loophole that removed the need to actually ask forgiveness and make it right with that person. Just tell God. He'll make it all better. Now, that's just a few of these things. And unfortunately, Christians all throughout history have a tendency to try to figure out a way that we can get away with things and still be okay with God. To look for what is permissible but possibly not always beneficial in our lives. But if we're honest, this mentality doesn't work in our relationships with people, and it doesn't work in a relationship with Jesus. And not only does it not work for us, but it makes other people sitting back and watching us who are trying to figure out their own relationship with Jesus, it makes them scratch their head and they wonder why we bark about rules and judge people on these rules, but then look for loopholes to those very rules for ourselves. And it's really important for us to talk about this, because when we, as people claiming to be Christians, opt for loopholes and workarounds, we find ourselves in a category that no one wants to be in. We become hypocrites. But Jesus' desire is for us to move beyond this loophole religion and into a loving, encouraging relationship with Him where, like we said last week, the rules never ruin the relationship. And this loophole mentality was highlighted in Jesus' time by the Pharisees. The Pharisees are the teachers, the leaders, the keepers of the law for the Jewish people. We talked a little bit about them last episode. Well, Mark, in chapter 7 of his writings about Jesus, he writes about a time when Jesus talked about this very idea, this loopholes. He says that one day some of the Pharisees from Jerusalem, or basically the big dogs of the Pharisees, because they're at the main temple, they came to see Jesus. Well, they noticed that some of Jesus' disciples had not followed the ritual of hand washing before eating. Now, this isn't how we think about it, or have been encouraged so strongly to wash our hands over this past year. The ritual of hand washing was an ancient ceremonial tradition that wasn't about physical cleanliness before they ate. It was about spiritual cleanliness, that you may have touched something bad, clean it off of you before you do anything. It was one of the many traditions that they held on to that was a show about their pious self-righteousness more than anything else. So these Pharisees, trying to trap Jesus, they asked him, "Why don't your disciples follow our age-old tradition?" Which, time out. Many of you have probably heard something similar from the church today. Why don't you do what we've always done? So Jesus turns and he looks at them and he responds and immediately calls these religious elite leaders from the main temple in Jerusalem hypocrites, which, again, I would tell you, if you've ever wanted to call a religious elite leader a hypocrite, you are not far from Jesus, because he did that, and he did it often. So then Jesus quotes to them one of their own prophets, Isaiah, and says, Isaiah was right about you when he said, "Their worship is a farce, for they teach man-made ideas as commands from God. For you ignore God's law and substitute it with your own tradition." Basically, you're more worried about your traditions and the commands that you've made up. You're more worried about looking right in front of God than actually being right with God. But Jesus was there to change things. Jesus goes on then to point out how they sidestepped God's actual laws in order to keep their own traditions, laws that were put in place to make sure that people were taken care of. But the Pharisees had created traditions that would just take care of them, take care of the Pharisees. Basically, instead of leading people to be for other people, they put these rituals and traditions and ceremonies and stuff in place, extra ones that kept people out and only really benefited them. They were for themselves, but God was for the world. So then Jesus does one of my favorite things that we see him do on so many different occasions. Jesus gathers the crowd around him in really close, and it doesn't say this, but I picture him doing that thing that teachers and parents and, friends, coaches, do when they have something really special to say. I picture him calmly as he leans in, almost in a forced whisper, like it's an important secret for each person individually. He says, "Listen and try to understand. It's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You are defiled by what comes out of your heart." And listen, Jesus would spend lots of time talking about how evil thoughts and intentions ultimately come from our hearts, that we speak out of the overflow of our hearts, that where our heart is, that's where the things we treasure are. You see, Jesus was breaking Jewish tradition at this point. He's saying it's not about what the law or the traditions require of you. You can do all of those things right. It's your heart that matters the most. And if you think you can find a loophole to fix your heart, you're very, very wrong. If you're asking yourself what rituals, ceremonies, or traditions you need to fulfill so you can be good and be good with God, you're asking the wrong question. And for those of us who are followers of Christ, there's a whole other question we need to be asking ourselves. A question that Jesus lived in the tension of every day. Now, hang in there with me. I'm going to tell you in a minute. It's coming. So, this is an old story from the first century, right? But loophole religion is still very pervasive in our culture today. However, following Jesus is an invitation to be done with all of the games and all of the traditions. And as followers of Christ, we have a prime directive from Jesus to love others as God, through Christ, has loved us. And there are no loopholes in that kind of love. There are no workarounds. That kind of love requires us to make things right with people in our lives as soon as possible. That kind of love compels us to love people who don't love us. That kind of love removes barriers. That kind of love isn't about a loophole. When we live this way, we wake up every day with this question: what does love require of me? It's a really easy question to ask, but it's a very difficult question to answer honestly and to follow through on. But answering this honestly every day, and really answering this honestly in every situation, will take us into these uncomfortable conversations. It will make us do things with our finances that we never thought that we'd do. It makes us shut our mouths when we normally speak, and it makes us speak up for people when we normally shut our mouths. It makes us be for people, not just ourselves. Asking the question, what does love require of me, takes us away from trying to look good, and it brings us to a place of living our lives well, like Jesus wants from and for us. So let me challenge you to ask yourself this question every day this week. If you're ready for a big challenge, ask yourself this question in every situation. What does love require of me? And for those of us who claim we are Christians, followers in the way of Jesus, this is an all skate, right? This is the basis of a real relationship with Jesus, not just finding loopholes in your religion. But if you're not there yet, if you're still figuring out Jesus and what having a relationship with Jesus looks like for you, you can still participate in this. And I believe if you do, you'll see a difference in your life, because if you've looked at the loopholes and thought, what good is all of that? I believe you're not that far off. I think Jesus agreed with you. And you will find yourself more and more being for the people in your life.
Welcome back, everybody. So John asked a really good question. What does love require of me, of us, of everyone? What did it make you think of?
Well, for me, it makes me think of, there's a phrase that I always say, just meeting people where they're at. And for me, as a dad of two beautiful daughters, I have to do that a lot. I have to kind of put myself in their situation and try to see things from their perspective, because whatever they're going through might seem like it's really, really silly. To me, I have to try and think about what it would be like for them to go through the things that they're going through, and just love them through those things. And even though sometimes it may frustrate me, I just kind of have to try and see things from their perspective and just love them where they're at. So.
Hashtag girl dad.
Yeah, girl dad. Hey Riley. Hey Sawyer.
Oh, hey.
Those are the girls.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
Yeah.
It's good that you said that, so everybody doesn't know that.
That's my daughter. Anyways.
So this week we have a pretty cool reward. A little different than the last couple ones. Tropical smoothie.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a really long time though.
It's still good.
It's still the same.
Still good.
It's good though. $5 tropical smoothie gift card.
Yep.
You can use it anywhere, any tropical smoothie. You just go. They'll take it. Give you something for it.
So yeah, Sunday we will post on our social media about this giveaway, and we're gonna do it the same way we've been doing it.
Yeah.
Just like that post for your chance to win it, and you can also be for someone in your life by tagging them in the post, sharing the post with your friends, and all that stuff. So yeah, tropical smoothie. Awesome. Our first quarter circles are wrapping up right now, but don't go right now. But after this video is over, you can go sign up for the second quarter circle. So that's live. That sign up is live right now.
Yep.
So yeah, circles. We've got
the women's circle.
Women's
just be
circle.
Continuing on.
They're killing it. The
We
ladies,
are.
Ladies are awesome.
We are pretty great. And then the circle for couples. It's called Love and Respect. That's going to be really fun to do together.
We talked about love and respect.
I did.
In the beginning of the video.
Look at your
that.
listening.
Listening and love and respect.
And love.
and-
I feel loved
It's
because
all
you were
a thing.
listening.
So yeah, so that's going to be a 10-week.
Yeah, it is
focus.
10 weeks, the whole quarter. It'll take up the entire thing.
Yeah.
Hope you're ready. It's fun.
And then the men's circle, we're going to use our time to just build relationships with each other and maybe even build some other stuff.
Ooh.
I don't know. Just
Surprise when you get there.
just a man version of arts and crafts.
Sure.
We'll
That's
see.
what makes it sound.
Yeah. We'll see what comes of that.
Oh,
So as far as our events, we just had our March Madness event, and it was just utter madness of March.
Smell the wings.
Yeah, so thanks to everyone who came out to Wings, and it was great meeting people, and it's great just hanging out in public spaces together.
Just watching
Yeah.
all the sports.
Watching sports and eating wings and talking to each other.
Yeah. And the waitresses and the people who were there.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, so that was fun. March Madness.
Well, this weekend, the 27th,
This coming
weekend, you know what I meant.
Yeah. What?
Anyway, we're partnering with our friends at Fair Creek. They're being generous enough to let us use their building. So at 6:30, we're doing our little quarterly gathering, getting together, because I feel like everyone hasn't, because of the circles, hasn't been together
Yeah.
in quite a while. So it's going to be really fun to get everyone in the same place at the same time.
Yep.
And just kind of celebrate the ending of the quarter. Not that we're happy it's over, but how it went.
Yeah. So
I should have said that different. We're glad it's over.
the
No.
success of the first
Yeah.
quarter. Celebrating the success of the first quarter.
Yes, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So 27th at 6:30, and anybody can come. It's not just those of us who came to the circles or anything. Bring a friend, more than one friend. If you have 10 friends, lucky, bring them. Bring all of them.
I don't have 10 friends.
Well, just bring the 2 you have.
Yeah, both of them. So yeah, that's going to be at Fair Creek, March 27th, 6:30 p.m. You already said that. Fair Creek, they're just being great partners, and they're really for us. And they've also invited us to their Good Friday service, which is going to be on Good Friday, which falls on a Friday this year.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Dad joke. April 2nd, Good Friday.
Yep.
Fair Creek. They've invited us to join, so
That'll be fun.
Thanks again to Fair Creek for just loving us and being for us in that way.
And all of that information, all the events, the circles, everything is on bridgedayton.com. You can get a bunch of all the information on the Church Center app. And that's also where you can do all your giving.
Yeah.
And giving is super important, like I always say. I'm going to keep saying it because it's important. And it just keeps us all being for each other. Bridge Church is for Dayton because of you being for Bridge Church, basically.
Yeah, and if you want a little reminder of being for Dayton, we have some new stickers.
I'm excited about these.
For your car, for your, I was going to say coffee cup, but that would be a pretty good coffee cup.
Some people.
Yeah, there's a coffee cup that'll fit this
is for
somewhere.
You.
But yeah, so if you want to show just the people in your life that you're for Dayton and that you're for them, just reach out to us. We'll have a way to get these stickers to you. So just like and subscribe to this video. If you're not a video person, you can like and subscribe to the podcast.
You did it this time.
I did it this time. We also have, in the show notes, we have a virtual guest card. We just invite you guys to fill that out. Let us know you're watching. Yeah, and like I said, we can find a way to get one of these to you if you're interested in that. So
basically everything's in the show notes.
Everything.
So if you missed it,
all the answers,
all of the things
to your questions from the For Show are in the show notes.
Yep.
So yeah, so I guess just go be for someone in your life today.
Yep, and have fun doing it.
Have fun doing it.
Being for someone.
Yep. Be for someone today.
And tomorrow and the next day, and it doesn't stop.
Brought to you by Electrolyte. Rachel doesn't have enough of them.
And it shows.
In a minute. Oh.
Look at them cat-like reflexes.
Meow. Brought to you by Sniffles.
That's what you get.
That's what I get for being stupid. Okay.